Welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Tuesday, June the 3rd, 2025, the first of 4 Tuesdays this month, and World Bicycle Day, established by the United Nations to celebrate the importance of the bicycle itself as a means of transportation for millions of people, the eco-friendliness of traveling on bike, and for health benefits associated with riding a bicycle as well. Today is also National Egg Day, created by the American Egg Board in 1996, and never have eggs been more in focus than they are now. By the way, over the weekend, I might have put this on X, but over the weekend, I paid $5.59 for an 18-pack of Eggland's Best Eggs. You know, those are always more expensive than regular farm eggs, right? $5.59 for an 18-pack, less than half of what it was like 4 or 5 weeks ago, say. I imagine the president, who has no scheduled events on his calendar, by the way, today will mention egg prices on National Egg Day, or Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt will in the White House press briefing this afternoon, where she will no doubt address Sunday's anti-Semitic terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, which was the focus of every show yesterday and last night. We're going to start it off with excellent coverage from Rob Schmitt.
In Boulder, Colorado on Sunday, there was a scene that's becoming a little too familiar here in the West, and that is a scene of total chaos. Saw a deranged lunatic using Molotov cocktails and a makeshift flamethrower to attack a group of middle-aged to elderly Americans who were taking part in a weekly show of support for hostages who've been held in Gaza by Hamas for almost 2 years at this point. Mohammed Solomon was his name, an Egyptian who entered the U.S. in 2022 on a tourist visa and then refused to leave like so many others. It is illegal to do that. And he turned a mild-mannered vigil into an inferno, screaming about Zionists, screaming for Palestine to be free. Here's how it all looked as the flames died down. You have burned victims on the ground, mostly older people, and a madman who is still screaming.
We can't do nothing.
We can!
Not here.
Not
here, bro.
You're right.
People are taking video right now. He was wearing an orange suit with like something on his back.
Spraying alcohol.
Spraying alcohol, but with ridiculous. He made it look like he was here.
He's making Molotov cocktails.
Palestine is free. And for us.
We've brought in potentially thousands of that right there. We don't know. We really don't know. And trying to get rid of them as fast as we can. And then after you saw that, because after all, it's Boulder, Colorado, we see an aging hippie walk up, furious, screaming and victim blaming those who were attacked by the firebomber. One of those people, by the way, is a Holocaust survivor. There aren't many of them left, who was lucky to escape death by an inferno 80 years ago, only to be burned in an affluent left-wing American suburb, nearly a century later. This deranged witness you're about to see saying it's the protesters' fault that they were attacked by a terrorist.
You don't antagonize like that. You caused me.
He's not
right.
You caused this, as a person lays there burning on the ground. Just a nice reminder of just how twisted everything has become, how indoctrinated so many people in your country now are. Even in that moment, probably with the smell of burning flesh still in the air, that man found more sympathy for an Egyptian terrorist than his victims. We are in deep trouble ideologically, a nation full of hate, and most of it has been imported. At the White House, Stephen Miller tweeting, "Suicidal migration must be fully reversed." The United States and the West has imported loads of cancerous ideology, and its influence on our own culture is very obvious. Clearly, they've captivated our college kids. You can see that at any Ivy League university. And it is much more broad than that. 2 weeks ago, a beautiful young Israeli couple murdered in cold blood on the streets of Washington right outside of an Israeli museum. Their attacker throwing his entire life away for free Palestine. This ideology was imported. Americans indoctrinated with a unique combination of self-loathing, and cultural Marxism.
Rob Schmitt is the host of Rob Schmitt Tonight. That's weeknights at 7 o'clock Eastern. This week is the Jewish observance of Shavuot, a festive holiday, and now Jews around the world are on even higher alert than they already were. The number of injured people in Sunday's attack is now up to 12. As Rob said, those victims ranging in age from 52 to 88 years old. An 88-year-old Holocaust survivor. More from Carl Higbie.
I mean, what's it going to take? Seriously, what's it going to take for the media and every other lib out there to understand what the threat is? Here we had a guy that's here on an expired visa, 2 expired visas, actually, a travel and then a work visa. Psst, that means he's here illegally. From Egypt, by the way. You know, the country next door to Gaza that's not taking a single refugee because they don't want that type of ideology and their problem in their country. He was yelling, "Free Palestine," which is not even a real place. His name was Muhammad Salman, with a ghetto flamethrower chucking Molotov cocktails at Jewish people. It sent 8 of them to the hospital. And it happened on the backs of basically all the legacy media telling us that Israel had bombed an aid site in Gaza that didn't actually happen at all. Israel had nothing to do with any of that. And the same media is out there saying that, well, this guy had unknown or unclear motives because of course, he didn't say exactly what he wanted while he was standing there with no shirt on.
Happening now, shock and condemnation after a man set people on fire at a Jewish community event in Colorado.
Smoke rising after the FBI says a man used a makeshift flamethrower.
In Colorado, a man is in custody this morning after authorities say he attacked a group of people in Boulder.
Ooh, a Colorado man. You mean the man who was here illegally? Well, and also, don't know I know what his motives were.
And when he was interviewed about the attack, he said he wanted them all to die. He had no regrets, and he would go back and do it again.
No regrets. I mean, that's pretty clear to me. This guy is a radical terrorist. This dude voluntarily, by the way, came to America, okay, was given 2 visas, and after those 2 expired, sought asylum that was pending after he became an illegal migrant. And now you're firebombing Americans at a peaceful protest, standing out there half naked? I mean, man, if only someone out there had a gun. Oh, wait, Colorado's trying to ban guns with all the libs out there. Wow, that really made people a lot safer. Then you called a bunch of people to come stop this guy with the very guns you're trying to ban in your state. You see how stupid this is? You're starting to see how a bunch of folks in America like me and like you at home might be starting to think that Democrats are a bit complicit in all this? And the guy who's trying to make your state safe, first off, you tried to remove him from the ballot, and then he got elected anyway. You libs have been protesting any time Trump tries to deport any illegals. You had people in your state blocking ICE and alerting gang members to the raids ahead of time. Oh, it's only a handful of apartment complexes taken over by elite. Yeah, it shouldn't be any. If you actually listen to these cackling hens, you would think that Trump's doing something bad, when in fact, since Trump started getting all those illegals the hell out of Colorado, homicides are actually down by 60%. Oh, imagine that. I mean, who could have possibly seen that coming? This is so ridiculous. Guys, this is not rocket science. People who break the laws to get here or stay here are not the beacon of American values. And I won't lose sleep over every last one of them getting the boot. And if they want to come back here through a vetted and a legal process, well, come on over. The fact that this was a Jewish gathering calling for the release of hostages, attacked by a Muslim man screaming "Free Palestine," and you don't know what his motives were? I mean, you people in the media are such trash. I mean, a biblical, cosmic, huge amount of trash. But until we undo the 10 or maybe even 20 million, who knows how many actually came here under Biden, until we get those people out of here, we're not going to solve this problem. You got to take a firm stand here.
That's former Navy SEAL Carl Higbie, host of Frontline, 5 o'clock Eastern. And what if there was someone there, one of the good guys with a gun? Luckily, in this case, the terrorist did not have a gun. The FBI says that Soleimani drove to Boulder from Colorado Springs, where he lived with his wife and children, where there is also a huge military base, right? Colorado Springs. And he worked as an Uber driver. Doesn't Uber do background checks on their drivers? I guess they allow people that are illegal immigrants to drive for Uber. This is Texas Congressman Brandon Gill, a member of the House DOJ Subcommittee on Newsmax with Bianca De La Garza.
It's very clear and simple, Congressman Gill, and good to have you, of what went on during the Biden administration. But now the fact that Jews in America cannot feel safe just walking the streets is a very sad state of affairs. Your reaction on how the left is going to try and, offer some type of counterpoint to everything you're saying, Stephen Miller saying, now our president, Donald Trump.
Well, thanks for having me on. And Danielle and I are praying for the victims of this utterly horrific and barbaric attack on American Jews. We've seen a rise of anti-Semitism in this country. You've seen college protests where you have students shouting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. You've seen in college campuses have done virtually nothing to stop it until we force them to. You've seen this movement get worse and worse and worse in the United States, and now it is starting to spill into violence. You saw the attack yesterday. We saw 2 Israeli diplomats murdered in Washington, D.C. just about a week and a half ago. This is a serious problem in the United States. Our constitutional republic depends on the ability of the American people to speak openly and to debate ideas and to have differing opinions on things without anybody resorting to political or religious violence. That is so antithetical to the way our country runs. But let me tell you, the problem that I have here is that this man in particular, Mohammed Soleiman, should not have been in our country to begin with. He shouldn't have been let in under a B1, B2 visa initially legally. He shouldn't have been allowed to stay in after he overstayed it. And now we're seeing the results of that.
Yeah, certainly we are. And sadly, there are more people injured today because of an illegal, innocent people. You're doing a lot of work in Congress. You're on the DOJ House Subcommittee. Let's play a little bit of Elon and his farewell from the Oval the other day.
This is not the end of DOJ, but really the beginning. My time as a special government employee necessarily had to end, but the DOJ team will only grow stronger over time. The DOJ influence will only grow stronger. I'd liken it to sort of Buddhism. It's like a way of life. So it is permeating throughout the government, and I'm confident that over time we'll see $1 trillion of savings.
Are you confident, and how does it move forward now? What is the work ahead?
Well, first of all, the work that Elon Musk did was absolutely transformational. Laying off 200,000 government employees who are burning out the clock on taxpayer dollar, getting rid of over 500,000 government credit cards that were going to who knows what, implementing the Defend the Spend program to ensure that our Treasury at least writes down where our money is going as it's being sent out. Getting over 12 million people who are over the age of 120 off of our Social Security rolls. I mean, this is totally transformational. But this program, DOJ, the movement, will last far longer than Elon Musk's tenure because
is there anything totally specifically, Congressman? But specifically, can you just tell us the roadmap, just to clarify in our final moments, what you're doing now?
The next step we have is a rescission bill, which we are going to be voting on this week, that will defund NPR, PBS, and large portions of USAID. We've got to follow that up with more rescission bills so that we can take the DOJ cuts that Elon Musk and his team found and make them permanent. That's the next step, and it's Congress's job to do it.
Got it.
It's Congress's job to do it. Representative Brandon Gill of Texas on Newsmax. And while I'm on Congress, did you hear? California Representative Maxine Waters, the troublemaker The 86-year-old, who has been in Congress since 1991, a lifer, that's more than 30 years. Her campaign has agreed to pay $68,000 in fines after a federal election commission investigation found that it violated multiple election rules, like failing to provide receipts and report disbursements, little things like that. And by the way, Republican Representative Bob Bresnahan of Pennsylvania, who pushed to ban stock trading in Congress, is under fire for making at least 530 trades since taking office. 40 of those trades, worth more than $166,000, were made since he announced that he was going to move all of his assets into a trust. This is all according to Business Insider. People do not go to Washington. Most people, not all, but most, don't go there to help the people of their home state or their district. They go there to get rich. Plain and simple, and it has to end. And the Department of Education, not Doge, reported yesterday that it found more than $30 million of student loans were paid to dead people. They said this came to light by cross-referencing disbursements or payouts with Social Security records. Oh, good idea. Thousands of dead people were getting student loan money, taxpayer money, your money. And this is a good segue into Greg Kelly's conversation with Charlie Kirk of Turning Point USA, who continues touring college campuses.
I find it extremely disrespectful for you to say that college is a scam, not just to me, but everyone here that's also going to school.
What's your favorite Charles Dickens book?
That was Push For, I Come For, that's all around there.
No, tell me which one. How about your favorite Jane Austen novel?
Oh, I don't know who that is.
All humans should have health care, regardless if
What is health care?
The right to see a doctor.
At any time, for any reason?
Yes.
Paid for by somebody else?
Paid by the rich.
Is abortion health care?
Yes.
Got it. So we should pay for other people's abortions. Got it.
Charlie Kirk, amazing performance there, but amazing accomplishments. You and Turning Point USA, seriously, you helped save America. Welcome back, Charlie. How are you?
It's great to see you. The country's in a much better place since the last time I saw you.
Feels wonderful. By the way, has anybody ever gotten to the microphone and just said, no, and just turned away, after you slaughter everybody else?
We have some fun clips. It's kind of like being in the Roman Colosseum with the gladiator, which is send me more. And sometimes they'll come up and yeah, I was going to disagree, but instead, Charlie, I just want to say, here's the 5 things I agree with you on. So
it's so wild. And Charlie, you are basically self-educated. Would you call yourself self-educated?
Autodidactic, yeah.
Autodidactic. Okay, I know what that means.
Which is, autodidactic.
You did it by yourself. That's a more sophisticated way of saying.
I didn't go to college, high school graduate, but, when I first got into this space 13 years ago, I made a promise I would outwork everybody. And I spoke at more events, traveled the country for 330 days a year for a decade straight. And large in part thanks to President Trump and his movement, we've now seen this kind of idea of turning young people to the right materialize into a generational reality.
Let's talk about that generational reality and some of the numbers. I do want to come back to how you pull all this stuff off, but I think you saw CNN, not to cite CNN, but there is a radical shift happening and Democrats are in total crisis.
Oh, I love to see it. And one of the reasons why they're in crisis is that the problem is happening from the bottom up. Traditionally, Democrats, when they have a bad election, they can go back to their roots and say, well, at least we have the college campuses. At least we have the kids. At least we have the students. This time they go back this, wait a second. Our core coalition is falling apart. You see, Greg, the Democrats, the reason they're in crisis is that their coalition of workers is gone, of union members is gone, of black voters is going away, of Latino voters is going away, and then young people. What is the Democrat Party anymore? It's people that are permanently dependent on government welfare and people at the highest income ladder that are college educated. That's not enough to win a popular national election or control the House or the Senate. And especially when it comes to younger voters, what we've done at Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action is we have now created a movement that is living even beyond the election. Again, President Trump, he started this, and we're continuing it, where we're drawing crowds of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people on these college campuses. And you can see from these viral clips online, this movement is accelerating. It is not slowing down. And the Democrat Party is now in the wilderness.
It is really amazing, and I'm so glad we're in this spot. Let me ask you, is it too early to talk about 2028?
It's never too early, Greg. But
good.
There's so much news going on now, but it's never too early.
So, I mean, what I hear from the pros, J.D. Vance, essentially, number one, most powerful vice president pretty much ever. Even like Dick Cheney looked like an intern compared to that guy. And he has a lock on it, and that's a good thing. No?
I love JD. I'm 100% behind him, totally and completely. I am very focused on what President Trump is doing now, but as far as what's coming next, look, here's what I love about JD Vance is that he's a defender of President Trump and his agenda, which is definitely different than the previous vice presidents that we saw. But also JD Vance is he's young, he's energetic, he's wise, he's thoughtful. And as someone who wants to see the next generation become the most conservative generation in history, what an amazing legacy item for President Donald Trump to be able to say that he has completely recalibrated American politics by allowing his vice president to then continue this for the next 4-8 years, even beyond.
How do you make sure that the movement doesn't become content, doesn't rest on its laurels? I mean, I know you're not going to do that, but yeah.
And one of the ways that we at Turning Point make sure that doesn't happen is the college campuses are endless opportunities for social change. We are still in the intellectual minority when it comes to the professors. We're still in the structural minority. We're still in the administrative minority. So that kind of creates some rebellion energy. And when you are trying to overtake an institution, you're never bored, right? You're never complacent. So just for example, Greg, when we go to these college campuses and they are chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. When they're saying they want another intifada, when they are burning Israeli and American flags, that then allows us as grassroots conservatives to keep on fighting and to stay on our toes and not grow complacent.
The young, smart, and talented Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, doing great work, good stuff there on Greg Kelly Reports. And real quick, yesterday's Newsmax Daily ended with Chief Washington Correspondent James Rosen breaking down a speech that President Biden gave in Delaware back on Friday. I know you listened yesterday, right? Last night, Greg Kelly ended his show with his own analysis of Biden's speech.
I've been reviewing some footage from this past week. Joe had a Memorial Day event that wasn't quite on Memorial Day, a couple of days later, but it went a little bit like this.
Our troops don't wear a uniform that says I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. It says I'm an American. I'm an American. That's who I am. I'm serious about this. I'm not joking.
Does he seem still pretty mad? I guess he's got a lot to be mad about. Let's face it. He doesn't have many friends these days. Next, please.
The fact is that I don't think if I had come from any other state that would have happened. But in Delaware, everybody knows everybody. And it's important. It's important because, we had that expression for the longest time. We do things the Delaware way.
All right. Okay. And whatever. The Delaware way, I think, is buzz for the corrupt way. Give me another one.
Support our veterans with more, not less. I get really angry when I hear about veterans are seeking too much. They're not enough.
Yeah, it makes people in the audience feel weird. Is he yelling at us? Did we not do enough for the veterans? And then, of course, there was a lot of Bo. But this is the thing that really kind of creeped me out, and I bet it creeped out the young lady. It creeps me out even more so. He invades a young woman's space, and no one makes mention of it. It's just like it didn't happen.
So I feel like everybody expects. I've done it all because I'm loyal. I do it every damn year. The very beginning. Never forget my team.
All right, that was strange, but I couldn't make out everything he said, so I had to find out who was that person and what TV station. Turns out it was ABC6 out of Philadelphia. Found the report. Now we see it from the reporter's perspective, and it's really, really bad.
When I asked why he came to this event, President Biden gave a passionate response.
Because I'm loyal. I do it every damn year from the very beginning. I never forget where I came from. That's why.
He's angry and mean and weird, and who does that?
What you can't see there is Joe getting right up in the woman's face, like 5-6 inches away from being nose to nose. And of course, the reporter isn't quite sure, how to react. She kind of laughs. Greg Kelly is the host of Greg Kelly Reports, 9 o'clock. Catch it tonight. And after kicking off the new month with modest gains yesterday, stocks kicked off the day in the green, slightly green this morning, but still in the green. The Disney Corporation, which has been going through scheduled layoffs, announced hundreds of more layoffs yesterday, mainly in their creative and entertainment departments. And if you're driving a Ford F-150 Lightning, the company's recalling more than 29,000 of them due to a potential issue with the front upper arm ball joint. Sounds serious. So check with your dealer immediately. Again, that's the 2024, 2025 F-150 Lightnings. And those things are not cheap. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies also higher this morning. Bitcoin back up over $105,000, $105,600 or so. XRP is up 6 cents at $2.22. Ethereum up about $100 at $26.30. Be sure to keep up with all of today's events and breaking news on Newsmax, N2, and at Newsmax.com. Also, make sure you're streaming on Newsmax Plus so you get all your favorite shows, your favorite hosts, and great expert analysis. Newsmax Plus. It all starts each and every morning with Wake Up America, followed by National Report, Newsline with Bianca De La Garza, American Agenda, to Carl Higbie, to Greta Van Susteren, Rob Schmitt Tonight, Finnerty, Greg Kelly Reports, and much, much more. I'm Tony Marino. As always, thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Maybe you'll get some tacos. Maybe you'll eat eggs. And get out and ride your bike on World Bicycle Day. Most importantly, keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.